Very special good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all of you. Today, on the second day of World Mental Health Week, we have a very unique guest speaker with us, Honorable Dr. Ritu Sekhri ma'am. She is currently assistant professor at Department of Psychology, postgraduate college for girls from Chandigarh, India, and today she is going to enlighten us on a very relevant topic, that is the caregiver's journey, balancing compassion and mental well-being. So, not taking too much time, now I would like to request our guest to kindly proceed today's topic.
I hope I'm audible to all. A very good evening, all of you. Thank you, the organization, for giving me the chance to come live again and introduce the new areas, the new arenas that we have developed in mental health. So, the topic that I have chosen for today's presentation or for the talk is the caregiver's journey, balancing compassion and mental well being. This topic is very close to my heart since my parents have been living with me, though they are now at their own hometown. But during the period that they were with me, I have realized that there are certain feelings or emotions that you feel when they are around you. And sometimes we feel it later on that, oh, this would have been better. Okay, or maybe there was something which we were not able to give our best to our parents. And yes, of course, this is one of the most neglected area, the caregivers, because everyone talks about stress, depression, trauma, loneliness, suicide, but nobody talks about this particular area which needs a lot of attention. So, without wasting any single moment, I would request the organizers to let's start with our presentation now so that we all of us can be on the same page on what we are going to talk about. So, as I have already talked about the topic, the caregiver's journey, balancing compassion and mental well being, which means that though you are giving care to your um, parents or sibling or whosoever is at your home, your mental health is equally important. So, so you can start with your next slide, please. As we all know that the role of the caregivers, whether it is professional, whether it is informal, there is a very hairline gap between your own mental well-being and your compassion. Why? Because most of the time when we are taking care of one or the other person at our home, we generally forget our own lives. वो कहते हैं ना कि अगर आप अपने माँ बाप का ख्याल रख रहे हैं तो कहा जाता है कि आप किसी को भी पे बैक कर सकते हैं लेकिन माता पिता का जो ऋण है वो नहीं चुका सकते। और यही एक ऐसा पर्टिकुलर डोमेन है जहाँ पे जो एल्डरली लोग हैं वो काफी ज्यादा डिप्राइव्ड रह जाते हैं इस तरह की केयर से। और अगर उनको ये केयर मिलती है तो कभी कभार ये उल्टा भी देखने में आया है कि द केयर गिवर्स दे आर नॉट एबल टू handle their own lives, which is really sad for all of us. So, I have equally mentioned that the difference, the intricate dance between caring for another individual and maintaining one's own health, it can have a profound effect on own physical and mental well-being of the caregiver. Why? Because all the time you are busy, you're occupied with the care of the other person. So that is the problem where when we don't realize that, okay, I have to understand the role of a caregiver and equally give importance to my own health. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Now, this caregiving profession is full of challenges, right? Um, you may have your parents, you may have individuals with disabilities at your place, or maybe your siblings, and the most targeted population is the elderly population. So when I talk about elderly or maybe someone with a disability, you really need to provide them with all the physical assistance, emotional support, and often perform different tasks. Like you have to take them to the doctor for their follow ups, you have to administer what medicines you are giving, and sometimes you have to monitor the symptoms because the doctor is saying that you have to observe your patient and then helping them with the mobility. So, what kind of problems come when you have to act as a caregiver? So, I would like to give, or I would like to share my own personal experience when my dad has undergone a knee replacement surgery quite a few months back. There was some sense of stress that I was going through because being daughter, it was like a challenge to me that I have to really take care of my parents, my father, and since, of course, women empowerment has occurred, but the patriarchal society, somewhere or the other, we are still fixed with this in our mind that daughters, of course, they take care, but doing the outdoor activities to provide them with the best care may not be possible or may not be that I may not sound as equally good if there had been my brother or so. So I was quite stressful when I had to take my father for the surgery and was worried about the post care as well. So here also, uh, the things that I have talked about is that there can be a surgery, or maybe you have a parent who's going through this Alzheimer's disease, which is really difficult to handle. So while there are so many, while many caregivers they find their role fulfilling and meaningful. So right away, I was also feeling that it's my prime duty to provide the best care to my father, but it comes with the challenges, and I believe nothing comes without challenges. And then these emotional challenges that you feel, as I said, that I was stressful, this can manifest in itself as an emotional strain. Um, you unwanted fatigue, there's no kind of reason to feel that fatigue, but yes, you are feeling that. And at the same time, significant impacts on your mental health. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Now, what is that significant impact on your mental health? That's the emotional toll you are feeling because continuously you are worried. And the research has also depicted in some of the findings that anxiety issues they may erupt because of this emotional toll that you are going through, and it's so much tasking for you to understand that okay, kuch bhi reh na jaye aapke patient ke liye, you have to give your best to it. And that is the time when you start curtailing your own me time, because this job is demanding. And just like we always ask our mothers that, you are doing 24 hours job, you're not even paid for that. And at the end of the day, we say, oh, aapne kiya hi kya hai? So I believe caregivers sometimes also go through this because I believe you will agree to it that we would never want any outsider to come and take care of our parents or our siblings or whosoever is in the need of this care, because we believe that when there is a period of some stress or strain going, our own family members should be there to provide help. So the constant responsibility for another person's health and well-being can lead to chronic stress because then it is your duty, it's your responsibility, right? You sometimes feel sadness if someone is going through this terminal illness like a cancer or maybe some post-care recovery, and at the same time you feel helplessness because in many of the cases, some of my friends they have shared their experience when when they know that, of course, we all know death is the reality, but we would never want our loved ones to go in front of our eyes like this. And so we are going to give our best. So these emotions, they can arise from watching a loved one suffer, dealing with the unpredictability of the condition, whether they'll be okay or not, and facing the reality that the individual may not recover. So this can be tasking at some times. So many of the caregivers, they develop that emotional attachment to those they care, and for which this adds to the emotional burden. I've heard a lot of people saying that, when your parents, you see them getting aged in front of you, there's a sense of insecurity that you develop and you don't want to lose them at any cost. Though we all know that Yes, the reality is that we all have to go one day or the other, but with this thought that you may lose your loved ones, the mental strain or the pressure you feel is something that can take a toll on you and can create a lot of mental health issues for your own self. So they often feel compelled to put the needs of the individual above their own. So when you know that you have a patient to take care and you have to act as a caregiver, you are a responsible person, definitely you will start sacrificing your own needs, your own priorities, and you will give the person who's in need of care the more importance. This self sacrificing behavior, now this is often driven by love, compassion. It's not kind of a burden you feel. You feel like, oh, it's my duty to do that. But this can create a cycle where the caregiver's mental health deteriorates due to the weight of the responsibility. Like in my case, now my father is all well, hale and hearty. But of course, I can understand that during that period, I was just taking it as if that, I am the God who's going to make him feel better and I have to give him the best of everything. Why? Because continuously something or the other was going in my mind that when we were kids, our parents have taken care of our needs in such a best manner. So I was continuously thinking that I have to revert in the same manner. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, what do we feel as a caregiver? Of course, I had stress, I had anxiety, and we all know what stress is, right? This is like, we often link it to unpredictability and the, intensity of how the problem is. We have to be vigilant, you have to be careful while giving the medicines, and then you have to monitor if particular symptoms have to be noted down. So there's a continuous worry going on. Sometimes it may take the shape of generalized anxiety as well, because then you ought to think about it time and again. So it becomes overwhelming, it's disturbing you. You start feeding yourself with all negative thoughts in your own mind. And at the same time, we also can experience anxiety about their own ability to provide adequate care, like whether I will be able. So this was also something which I was going through during my this period of taking care of my parents, that will I be able to handle my parents properly? Am I strong enough to control my emotions? Because you have those phases. All of us go through up and down, and I used to be very strong that I don't have to cry in front of my father, making him feel, because he used to go through that pain after surgery. So I used to control myself a lot, but that controlling would uh, was actually developing a kind of a black hole in me with all that fears, negativities around me. Now, as a caregiver, we may fear making mistakes, missing important medical symptoms, or not being able to meet the emotional or physical needs of the care recipient. Uh, when you are taking care of a patient, as a caregiver, you are trying your best, but sometimes you develop this sense of doubt in your own ability. Will I be able? Am I the best person who can take care of my this patient or not? And the most important thing is the financial concerns, particularly for those who have to reduce work hours and leave employment entirely to take care of a loved one. Now, this can exactly magnify the stress and anxiety, because money is very important. So, not all of us are to that economic level where you can provide at the second of everything. So when you are working, you have to take care of your parents, your family. Sometimes this financial constraint can really put you on a toll where you will feel that there's the pressure that you have to take care, and at the same time you have to make money. Please, next slide. Along with stress and anxiety, what we feel is the depression. Now, depression is another common mental health concern. The emotional toll of caregiving, coupled with isolation and feelings of helplessness, you also start developing hopelessness along with helplessness, and this can lead to clinical depression. Now, the experience of caregiving is often marked by a sense of loss. Of course, you have to be around your patient 24 hours or so. So there's lack of independence, right? You have to cut down your social connections, and sometimes the gradual loss of the care recipient's health. So I remember when I was going through that period, um, taking care of my own health or my own assignments. I was just putting them on pending, pending. Everything was like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, maybe it's some other time. Even if I have some, social meetups, I would prefer not going there. I hope we are on the next slide because here on my camera, I can see the same slide. Yeah, thank you so much. So when the symptoms are progressive, you experience a sense of sadness and hopelessness. Now, the research has also shown that the caregivers they are at higher risk for depression as compared to the non-caregivers, particularly those who are dealing with some neurological or degenerative diseases like dementia, Alzheimer, because this risk increases when the caregiver does not have access to adequate social support or maybe some respite care. So what is respite care? Sometimes your elder sibling or your younger sibling or maybe some of your relatives, they have come, first relatives have come to give you some rest, and then they can take care of your patient or maybe a family member. I am using this word patient because I just want to make a difference between caregiver and patient, but of course, they are our family first. So that's how we are going through at that time. And sometimes when we don't find adequate sources to rejuvenate, to get back to your normal phase, we express the feeling of isolation and burnout. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Along with stress and anxiety, as I have been discussing the emotional toll, we also feel some kind of physical or mental exhaustion. That's the burnout and the compassion fatigue. So, this compassion fatigue is not the physical fatigue that I'm talking about. So, let's know what is burnout first. Now, this is something which is a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion. And why it is occurring? Because of the chronic or the excessive stress, yeah, that you are in. Now, in the context of caregiving, they say it occurs when caregivers feel overwhelmed and they are unable to meet the constant demands placed on them. So sometimes you have to take care of your parents, sometimes you have to take care of your siblings or your child, and at the same time, you have to take care of your extended family. If you are living in a joint family, you have to meet up the deadlines of your work also. You have some important outside assignments, and there that is the time when you feel or when you get a feeling of being burnout, because at that time you are like you're not able to understand what should I go through. So now what are the symptoms of caregiver burnout? Next slide, please. Even after rest, you are not mentally relaxed. कभी कभार हमें ऐसा लगता है कि मैंने प्रॉपर नींद ली है, लेकिन when you wake up, you still feel that I've not been able to have a very good sleep, and then you have that negative emotion. Sometimes you feel hostile, passive aggression, you have some sort of anger developed, or maybe some irritability. You also have a feeling of helplessness and hopelessness, where you start losing hope. You develop a lot of negativity. You have automatic negative thoughts coming up. What if my parents are no more? What if I lose my beloved? Or though I'm giving my best of what I can do, but what if I'm not able to? What if something happens and at that moment only I'm not there? So at the same time, you may also develop some physical symptoms like headache, gastrointestinal problems, and also at some times you develop detachment or apathy toward the care recipient. Because कई बार ऐसा होता है कि too much of negativity also makes you numb. तो आप इतने numb हो जाते हैं कि आपको feel होना बंद हो जाता है. And that is the time when it is something serious. Because ये आपके अंदर एक तरह से resentment की feeling ले आता है towards the care recipient. Guilt for not being able to do more, and the desire to withdraw from the caregiving altogether. बिकॉज उनको लगता है कि मैं जितना भी अच्छा करना चाह रहा हूँ, मैं नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. Let's move on to the next slide, please. So, what is the compassion fatigue? It is the emotional strain of working with those who are suffering. Now, this is also sometimes referred to as secondary traumatic stress, as it often occurs in those who are exposed to trauma through the experiences of others. So, you have seen someone else going through that. You were exposed to that trauma and you have developed that compassion fatigue. Now, caregivers, especially those who are in the healthcare industry, they often feel this compassion fatigue for individuals with severe illnesses or trauma, and they are at risk for compassion fatigue. Now, unlike burnout, which develops over time, compassion fatigue can occur all of a sudden. Okay, and they may start feeling the decline in their feelings of empathy, or having that sense of compassion for the care recipient, and that's the time you just develop a sense of nothing in your own self. So this emotional numbing, this emptiness, this can cause feelings of guilt. And then caregivers, they do not respond to any of the, requirements of the care recipients. And they are actually not able to invest their emotions at that level. So it's more dangerous, actually. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Along with the emotional toll or the physical or the mental fatigue, this is something which is very important. Since we are social beings, I will say it's really difficult to live if we say this, oh, mujhe koi nahi chahiye. Because as Abraham Maslow says that we have a need for gregariousness, a sense of belongingness, or maybe an affiliation. When you cut down your connections, or we all cannot live in vacuum. So when you cut down your connections, you start feeling that hollowness or emptiness in your own self. So the responsibilities that caregiver has or have, they often result in social isolation because you have to cut down your social connections to take care of your caregivers. I am not saying that it's bad, first of all, but yes, of course, you should know how to handle it because it is not bad. But then there comes a time when you develop compassion fatigue and you just get yourself detached. So that's also equally bad. So if you can afford to take care of your health, if you can calculate um, the cost and benefits along with the caregiving profession, not the profession, but maybe the care that you are giving, somehow you can just level up yourself so that you can give best of yourself to your care recipient. That is why um, you should have some kind of relaxation or some desensitization for your own self at that moment. So, the lack of the time for socialized interaction combined with emotional strain of caregiving, now this can reflect in loneliness or feelings of isolation. So, when you are alone, sorry, at that time also you are thinking about, okay, how will I handle my next task, or Mm, क्या पता कि मैं I don't want to go to any of my social commitment because what if I'm not there and something bad happens to them, so I won't be able to take that कि since so many days or months I'm taking care of my care recipient और ये एक reason ना बन जाए कि I'm not there and that's the reason I'm not able to I wasn't there and that's the reason that they got into trouble. Now, social isolation can actually contribute to a lot of mental health problems, and specifically, I think depression and anxiety are the two targeted ones. At the same time, it also limits the caregiver's access to social support, and this can act as a buffer against stress. Without regular contact with friends, family, support groups, you may feel that whatever challenges you are facing, it becomes more difficult. इसीलिए हम बोलते हैं एक अकेला और दो ग्यारह. तो जब हमें एक फैमिली का सपोर्ट मिल जाए या हमें हमारे फ्रेंड्स हो साथ में, चाहे वो कुछ भी ना करें, लेकिन एक इमोशनल सपोर्ट जो होती है वो बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है. We all know that if, it depends upon the degree of relation you have. So you know that if someone is your father, your mother, if you're taking care of your papa, mama, your behen, bhai, your husband or wife, you know what connection you have. But then also, we would not mind if one of my friend is standing with me, or he's there to scratch my back at that time. So I will feel, psychologically, I'll feel motivated. Okay, oh, I'm not alone. I have someone. I have my back. So that's very important. And this social connectivity can really boost your energy to gear up yourself for better care to provide better care to your recipient. Okay, next slide, please. Now, what are the coping mechanisms? Of course, there must be some strategies that you can develop for the caregivers. So, given the significant impact caregiving can have on mental health, it is very important to adopt coping mechanisms and strategies to maintain your well being. And the foremost is social support, talking with your friends, family, or support groups. They allow caregivers to share their experiences, express their emotions, and that can seek advice. Support groups, in particular, can provide caregivers with a sense of community and understanding that can alleviate feelings of isolation. Nowadays, we have small support groups. Like sometimes, what happens when I am taking my classes, um, I I often share my own experiences that this is how I have handled. There was a phase in my life when I was really draining my energy because I couldn't see my mama or my papa going through that bad phase, and I was there, and that's how I helped them. So when you talk or when you just share your own experiences along with your other friends or family, and your feelings, your sentiments, they are acknowledged, they are appreciated, you feel relaxed. हम कहते हैं ना कभी कभार catharsis, कि भाई मन हल्का हो गया, कुछ भी नहीं किया, ऐसा नहीं है कि उन्होंने आके दवाई दी, उन्होंने आके आपका काम संभाला, लेकिन आपको सुना और listening ear. So ऐसा अगर support group हो, so definitely it can curb our mental issues and can give us some sort of relief so that we feel connected to the world around us. Next slide, please. Respite care. As I said, whether through professional in home care, of course, we are not always ready to go for because it all depends upon your economic status, your socioeconomic status. Not every one of us would like to go, not only because of money, but also with the fear that जो अपने केयर करेंगे वो शायद दूसरे ना करें. और कभी कभार हम इसका opposite भी सोचते हैं कि when we are paying the person and it's his or her profession, so he or she is definitely going to provide you the best care. So this respite care, this gives caregivers a temporary relief from the responsibilities. So what happens? Maybe some other family members or maybe some professional person is going to come and take the charge. And this break is actually crucial for preventing burnout and maintaining your own health. हालांकि कभी कभार ऐसा भी होता है कि we are experiencing burnout, but then we are really not ready to hand over the charge to anyone else, again because we have that fear that I don't want anyone to take care of my family. I should do it, चाहे उसके लिए मुझे कितना भी कुछ करना पड़े. And then sometimes professional help, that's counseling and therapy, is equivalent to our respite care. There was a movie that I was watching, and then I realized how important this counseling and therapy is. And it's not only for the ones who are going through some mental issue, but any one of us can go for this counseling or therapy. There was this movie, it was a series named as Doctor, if I'm not wrong. So this guy is not able to, is not exactly not able to, but somehow there is some case which got mishandled, and the person is going through a lot of stress, anxiety, and then their senior has asked him to go and meet the therapist and have some therapy sessions. Initially, the person is refusing because the first thing that comes to our mind when we talk about counseling or therapy is stigma. Oh, what if the other person gets to know that I have gone for some therapy and counseling? But believe me, it's totally fine because all of us at one point or the other need this kind of coping mechanism. And it's good if you go for it because you can really channelize your energies, you can really channelize your emotions, your pent up feelings that you were not expressing in front of your family. So, through this help, you can, develop some healthy coping mechanisms. And of course, CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, it has shown to be particularly effective for caregivers as it helps individuals reframe negative thought patterns and develop problem solving skills because you know generally we have two kind of coping skills. One is problem solving skills and another is emotion focused skills. So the persons who are more on emotion side, right, they will feel relief when they are having that kind of a catharsis. Sometimes crying is the only solution. You think कि मैं रोना चाहता हूँ या मैं रोना चाहती हूँ, मैं अपनी फैमिली के सामने नहीं रो पाऊँगी। So when you feel that vulnerability, you want someone जिनके सामने आप vulnerable हो सकें। और कभी-कभार आपको कोई नहीं चाहिए vulnerable होने के लिए, but yes, you just want to cry and take out all your negativity inside out. Now that's emotion focus. Sometimes talking to other person, okay, this is how I handled वहाँ पे उस तरह से मुझे दिक्कत आई. My boss was really not happy. He or she was not showing me that concern, though she knew this that I was handling my parents at that moment. And that is the time when I needed someone to talk. Because कभी कभार क्या होता है, caregiving is not a problem, or I will say it's not a challenge. Handling other issues become a challenge in itself. So ऐसा हो जाता है कि आप you are in a job and people around your workplace they are not cooperating with you, though they know that you are going through a bad phase or going through a very challenging phase. So, developing problem solving skills can really help you at that moment because just crying and venting out your emotions is okay. But when you practically try to handle the situation, you feel that strength in your own self. So, therapy, this kind of CBT, can really help the caregivers to discuss your emotional challenges. They provide you a platform, and ideally we all need that platform where we feel comfortable, where we feel safe to talk about our issues. Next slide please. माइंडफुलनेस एंड सेल्फ केयर प्रैक्टिसेस, कुछ ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता है अगर आप रूटीन में अपने आप को थोड़ा सा जैसे हम कहते हैं ना कि एफर्मेशंस देना, उसी तरह से माइंडफुल प्रैक्टिसेस हैं. Meditation, ध्यान लगाना, feeling your own breath, counting your own breath, doing some yoga, and I think you all will agree to it that yoga is a healing in itself, right? Some neurological connections, some neuronal connections are there. Some stretching, expanding, contracting, ये आपकी बॉडी को कहीं ना कहीं रिलैक्स करती है. And deep breathing exercises, they can really help us to manage our stress and improve our emotional resilience. Now, these practices, they encourage the caregivers to focus on the present moment. तंग क्या करता है हमें एक्चुअली में? हमारा पास्ट, हमारा फ्यूचर. पास्ट में क्या था और फ्यूचर में क्या होगा? So, through mindful practices and practicing it regularly, we can concentrate on our present कि मैं जो भी करूं अभी के लिए करूं और मैं बेहतर करूं. कल क्या होगा, दैट्स अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, नोबडी कैन प्रिडिक्ट. लेट्स नॉट थिंक अबाउट इट. क्या हो गया, जो होना था वो तो हो गया. सो लेट्स टेक इट दैट वे ऑल्सो समटाइम्स. वर्स्ट ऑफ वर्स्ट जो होना था वो हो गया, दैट इज नॉट इन माई कंट्रोल नाउ, आई कैन नॉट रीडू इट, अनडू इट, सॉरी. एंड द फ्यूचर इज ऑल्सो स्टिल नॉट इन माई हैंड्स. What is in my hand is my present. And if I have to take care of my people around. The most important thing is मैं ठीक हूँ. अगर मेरी मेंटल हेल्थ ठीक है, मैं अपने आप को इंटैक्ट रख पा रहा हूँ, तो मैं आगे किसी को हेल्प कर पाऊंगा. So, this is how you can overcome your feelings of insecurity regarding your future or any guilt about the past. Also, people have, like, I have come across some conversations where some of our colleagues, when we sit and discuss, so one of my colleagues said कि मेरी फैमिली में किसी को कुछ हुआ वो मेरे कारण ही हो गया बिकॉज मैंने आई वाज इग्नोरेंट, मैं केयर नहीं कर पाई और आज भी मुझे बहुत ज्यादा गिल्ट है उस चीज का. सो हम कभी अक्सर बैठते हैं पास में तो हम यही बोलते हैं कि जो हो गया उसके ऊपर तुम्हें रिग्रेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन अगर आप उसको प्रेजेंट में कुछ कर सकते हैं तो वो करें. फ्यूचर में क्या होगा वो हम बाद में देखेंगे. सेल्फ केयर इज अनदर क्रिटिकल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ मेंटेनिंग मेंटल हेल्थ. ऑफ कोर्स वी ऑल नो एंड आई एम श्योर मेरे साथ जितने भी लोग जुड़े हुए हैं वो भी कहीं ना कहीं ये फील करते होंगे कि हम अपनी केयर को प्रायोरिटाइज नहीं करते. मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि यू हैव टू गो टू द सलोन टू गेट योर सेल्फ अपडेटेड, बट छोटी छोटी चीजें, अपने आप को थोड़ा सा पैम्पर करना. ओके, मेकिंग टी फॉर योर ओन सेल्फ. If you're not doing anything, just lighting up some candles, listening to some good healthy music, good exercises, self care. Okay, some hobbies like कुछ नहीं करना है, हल्का सा कुछ लिख दें आप, कुछ पेंट कर लें. ऐसा नहीं कि सारा दिन ही आपने वो टास्क करना है. आई नो दिस, आई नो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. कहने में शायद मुझे ईज़ी लग रहा होगा, लेकिन जितना डिफ़िकल्ट हमें अभी ये लग रहा है, लेकिन अगर हम एक स्टेप फर्दर करेंगे, तो शायद शायद कहीं न कहीं ये हमारी मेंटल हेल्थ को, हमारे ब्लॉकेजेस को ये ओपन करेगा. बिकॉज़ ओनली वन स्टेप इज़ डिफ़िकल्ट एंड देन we can inculcate it as a routine habit. So this can really help the caregivers to maintain their physical and mental well-being. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay. Before I conclude, I have some worksheet exercises for the audience over here. I won't take much time. So, what you can do when you are feeling, you are in stress, or you don't feel like doing anything, but yes, you are straining, you're feeling drained. So, the first strategy or the first exercise that I have is the grounding exercise. Give yourself 5 minutes. Now, before you begin for this activity, um, just take few minutes to ground yourself in the present moment, and you have to follow the steps. Even right now you can just give a try and then you can do it later on. You have to sit comfortably on the chair. You have to close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. I would request the audience, if you are connected to me, please just try for a minute. Sit comfortably on the chair, close your eyes, and then you take a deep breath through your nose and then slowly exhale through your mouth. Okay. Now you start paying attention to how your body feels as you sit. Sometimes you feel pain in your this back of the shoulders, your back, your legs, your arms, your neck, your head. Notice those contact points between your body and the chair that you are sitting on or the floor. I prefer that you can try to just remove your slippers for some time just to feel that connection to the earth, with your earth. Slowly scan your body from head to toe, and then you start relaxing each area as you move through it. So you can start from your toe and then start just releasing your tension, or you can start from your neck and then dheere dheere you just release your tension, your neck, your shoulders, and your arms. You can take 3 deep breaths and then focus on the sensation of the air filling your lungs and leaving your body. So it's like, of course, distractions are there, but focus on your own breath. It takes time, but you can do it. So if you do this for 5-10 minutes, you will feel a change. Believe me, I have also felt some change in myself. There's one more activity that you can do at home only. That's progressive relaxation activity. So Joseph Volpe, a systematic desensitization he has talked about. So it's a part of that only where you are going to relax your muscles. So in this technique, you are going to release your physical tension. Okay. So you have to start with your feet in this strategy. You have to tense your muscles for your 5-7 seconds. So when you just अब अभी हम कहते हैं ना रिलैक्स योर बॉडी जस्ट लूजन अप योर शोल्डर्स रिलैक्स तो कुछ सेकंड्स के लिए आपने अपने आप को टेंस अप करना है एंड देन release and relax for 10 seconds. So this is like up and down. You relax, you just tense up. You relax, you just tense up. So move up your body, tensing and relaxing each group of muscles, your calves, your thighs, your stomach, your chest, arms, shoulders, neck, and face. So sometimes, you feel better when you do this, you feel a bit relaxed. As you relax each area, you have to pay attention how your muscles feel. So when you tense up yourself and you relax, आप अपने आप में बोलेंगे अच्छा अब मुझे थोड़ा बेहतर लग रहा है. You have to notice the contrast between your tension and your relaxation. So those are the trigger points that you can make out. Okay, जब आप स्ट्रेस में होते हैं, हम अपनी बॉडी का कोई अपनी बॉडी का हिस्सा होता है जिसमें हम बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर लेते हैं. If I have to talk about myself, the maximum stress sometimes if I take, it's back of my shoulders and I feel pain over here. So this is what I do. I do some exercise and then I just relax myself, some walk, some stroll to make myself feel better. जब आप ये प्रोग्रेसिव रिलैक्सेशन कर रहे होंगे, you have to find out, identify which part of your body felt the most of your tension. किस बॉडी के हिस्से पे. I know one person, otherwise he's very healthy. He was complaining कि मेरे दांत खराब हो गए हैं. And we were shocked to see that he's hale and hearty. He says जब भी मैं अपनी किसी भी चीज का स्ट्रेस लेता हूँ तो वो रात को जब सोते हैं तो ही क्लेंचेस दांत को बहुत जकड़ के सोते हैं. तो दैट इज ओनली इट्स हैपनिंग व्हेन ही इज अंडर स्ट्रेस. तो इसका मतलब हमारी बॉडी का एक जोन, हर एक का एक जोन होता है जो अपने आप उस स्ट्रेस को वेलकम कर लेता है कि ओके जी आ जाइए. और इधर इधर कहीं पे भी स्टमक, आप देखते हैं घर में बच्चे जो होते हैं जब उनके एग्जाम आते हैं वो अक्सर कंप्लेन करना शुरू कर देते हैं, ओ आई हैव स्टमक पेन. सो एज when you are in this role, मतलब not only caregivers, this is for each one of us, particularly caregivers जो कि इतना इमोशनल टोल फील करते हैं. तो ये छोटी छोटी एक्सरसाइजेज हैं जो आप अपने आप में अपने आप को बेहतर फील करवा सकते हैं. इफ यू डोंट हैव टाइम टू डू ऑल दीज थिंग्स, यू कैन गो फॉर जर्नलिंग. Journaling, identify your stress and your emotions. How you will do it now. Take a few moments to write down your thoughts. Okay, जब किसी की लाइफ में कुछ ट्रॉमेटिक इंसिडेंट होता है, कभी कभार हम अपने आप को उस चीज पे ब्लॉक कर लेते हैं. हम उसके आगे कुछ नहीं सोच पाते. हम वो गैप डेवलप कर लेते हैं क्योंकि हमें लगता है मैं जब भी उस चीज को सोचता हूँ वो एक ट्रिगर सा होता है, लाइक अ पोस्ट ट्रोमैटिक है ना. सोचा, फ्लैशबैक हुआ, ट्रिगर हुआ, एंड देन सीरीज ऑफ इवेंट्स आर अकरिंग. ये हुआ, वो हुआ, ऐसा हो गया. अब आई एम नॉट नो एंड आई हैव टेकन सो मच ऑफ स्ट्रेस. So you have to reflect on your caregiving journey and how you are feeling today. The moment you started with the caregiving and आज कैसा है. समटाइम्स ऐसी चीजें एक्नॉलेज करने से आपको एनर्जी मिलता है. कुछ प्रॉम्प्ट्स हैं जो आपको अपने लिए उस वक्त करने हैं. व्हाट इमोशंस हैव यू बीन एक्सपीरियंसिंग लेटली. अपने आप को पूछिए किस तरह की इमोशंस आप एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हो, फील कर रहे हो. स्ट्रेस में हो, सैड हो, फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हो, खुश हो, थैंकफुल हो, ग्रैटिट्यूड है कि शुक्र है भगवान या नेचर आपका कि मैं उस जर्नी को समहाउ यहाँ तक ले आया. What is the most challenging part of caregiving for you right now? Your job, your care, your children, the emotional deprivation you're going through, lack of social support, friends, or what? And then what brings you the most fulfillment or the joy in your caregiving role? कभी कभार कुछ ऐसे केसेस होते हैं जहाँ पे लोग डिस्कस करते हैं कि आज उन्होंने मुझे देखा या आज उन्होंने हल्की सी स्माइल दी, तो आपको ऐसे लगता है ओ आई हैव वन, आई एम द most happiest person today because I could see the smile on the face of my father, mother, my sibling, my bacha, or whosoever you are taking care of. So that gives you a feel of contentment. Okay, somewhere I've been able to do something. What can you do to prioritize your self care this week? So ये जो जर्नलिंग है, इसमें ऐसे सवाल खुद को पूछने से आप कुछ कुछ अपनी केयर पे ध्यान दे सकते हैं. लगता है हमें मुश्किल है, लेकिन अगर हम बैठे हैं, खाली बैठे हैं अपने केयर रेसिपिएंट के पास, कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, यू कैन जस्ट स्टार्ट राइटिंग इट डाउन. क्या कर क्या रहे हैं हम अपने को थोड़ा डिविएट कर रहे हैं. उस डिविएशन में भी हम कुछ यूजलेस या मीनिंगलेस नहीं कर रहे हैं. हम अपने आप को ही एक पॉजिटिव एनर्जी, पॉजिटिव सिरप देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जिससे हम फिर से और अच्छे से अपने केयर रेसिपिएंट की केयर कर सकें. ओके, there is one more exercise that's called as visualization exercise. Visualization can be relaxing way to mentally escape from stress. Follow these steps. Close your eyes. Imagine a peaceful place. तो कभी कभार हम ये जब ट्रैवलिंग कर रहे होते हैं, हम ये बहुत करते हैं. हवा अच्छी चल रही है, तो हम अपने आप को उसी जोन में डाल लेते हैं. ये हम कहीं भी बैठ के कर सकते हैं. यू नो व्हाट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अस एट दैट मोमेंट? योर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन. अब लोग बोलते हैं जी कॉन्सेंट्रेशन तो होता नहीं है, क्योंकि ध्यान भटक रहा होता है. समथिंग और द अदर माइंड बॉगलिंग थॉट्स आर कमिंग. So you have to induce concentration. Close your eyes and just start visualizing that you are in a garden, you are in a forest, or some lovely place you have always aspired for. You just try to picture yourself there. You feel, you try to feel at calm or at ease. Just, just visualize the details, the sound, the touch, the color, the smell, the sensations, and then try to fully immerse yourself in the scene. It's almost like, again, one kind of mindful exercise. So, what is a reflecting question that you can ask once you have gone through this peaceful journey of going to the forest area or so? Is how did you feel during this visualization? So, जब हम एकदम से अपनी हिम्मत हार रहे होते हैं, है ना, हमें ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे बस में कुछ भी नहीं रहा, आई एम ट्राइंग टू गिव माई बेस्ट बट आई यू आर फीलिंग अ सेंस ऑफ फेलियर. शायद ये सब चीजें आपको थोड़ा सा बूस्ट अप कर सकती हैं. बूस्ट अप नहीं करेंगी तो वो जो एक आप जब एग्जॉस्शन स्टेज पे आने की कतार पे होते हैं, उस पे आपको वो फिर से कनेक्ट कर सकता है इफ यू लर्न दीज स्ट्रैटेजीज, बिकॉज दिस विल रियली हेल्प यू टू कनेक्ट. एंड देन if you can prepare an action plan for yourself. Plan one thing that you will do to take care of your physical health. Okay, today you decided I'll give 10 minutes to myself, positive affirmations. I will talk to myself. I'll try to find out what are my weak areas. One thing that you will do to take care of your emotional health. Okay, now I will not cry. I will try to regulate my emotions in a better manner. One activity you enjoy and that is just for you. Okay, maybe journaling, maybe painting, maybe listening to a calm music. And one thing you will ask for help if needed, not to feel bad, not to feel shy, not to be resistant. If you need help, you will definitely go for some professional help. I'm doing my best, and that is enough. That's the positive affirmation. I'm doing my best. एंड दैट इज इनफ. मेरे हाथ में सब कुछ नहीं है, पर मैं जो कर सकता हूँ अपने से बेस्ट कर रहा हूँ और करूंगा. I deserve to take care for myself as I care for others. You deserve love. You deserve care, empathy. Because I believe this caregiver role is not something very chota role. आप उस वक्त सब कुछ अपना सैक्रिफाइस करके फुल डेडिकेशन के साथ जब आप उस केयर रेसिपिएंट को उसकी देख रेख कर रहे होते हैं, तो आई थिंक आपसे बड़ा उस वक्त कोई नहीं है. सो आप वो केयर, लव, रिस्पेक्ट, हेल्प डिजर्व करते हैं. गिव दैट एफर्मेशन टू योरसेल्फ. दैट्स कॉल्ड एज पॉजिटिव एफर्मेशन ओनली. आई एम स्ट्रॉन्ग, capable, and worthy of rest. So I also need some rest. I am strong. I can do it, and I have to rebound myself. I have to count back. So for that, I need some rest. So these affirmations, if you repeat from time to time, silently or aloud, I believe sometimes you should do it aloud because silently रह जाता है. So when you do it aloud, the frequency comes back to you, so that gives you the positive energy. So that can really help you. Though I'm not, you can say, a person who has all the, magical powers to heal your pain. But yes, of course, I have tried a few. When I see my parents now, they are doing so well in their lives. And of course, the acknowledgement you get, the appreciation you get, and the love. And when you see them doing so well, and, I have a habit of clicking pictures of each and every moment, whatever has happened. So sometimes my mama says you should not see all those things because that gives you pain. And I told my mother, Mama, that gives me strength. See my journey from where I started or from where we all started. And then gradually we all have been able to come across, and we are all at better place. And I wish that all of us must have someone or the other with us who can be a back or a support to us. God should be kind to all of us. This is all I have to say for today's talk. Over to you, sir. I think I have taken more than required time.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a insightful and wonderful session. So, before winding up today's session, and I sure that people will learn a lot from this session, and they will learn the importance of the compassion and how it is useful for the mental health well-being. So, thank you so much for this insightful session. If anyone has any query or the question, they can ask in the comment section later also. So, before winding up this session, what will be your conclude remark or message to all the humanity through this conference?
So, I would like to I would like to add one more thing over here. Message to humanity is that right now also I'm catering to 400 students as I have an additional charge of hostel warden, where I have 400 students with me of undergraduate and graduate classes, and they're all girls. And I think this is, though it is an additional charge, but it's a 24/7 job. I think you learn from one another. It's not that you are born with something, some magic powers or so. So the message to humanity is be kind. You have no idea what the other person is going through. So don't judge. Before you say anything, think twice and be kind to everyone around. So that's the only message I can give. And we all need to be like we all are human beings, but yes, compassion and kindness is something very important. And also, one more thing is grateful for what you have. We have to express gratitude. सबको सब कुछ नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन जो भी है उसके लिए we need to be grateful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for your valuable time and this insightful session.
Thank you so much, sir.